What if the most basic ideas we use to navigate the world, concepts like economics or society, what if they're just shadows on a wall? That's really the big question we're tackling today. We're going to go on a little journey, kind of like in Plato's cave, to peek behind the curtain of our everyday reality and see what's really casting those shadows.
I mean, think about it. Take a word like economics. You definitely learned a definition for it in a textbook somewhere along the way. But is that it? Is that the whole story? What if that simple, clean explanation is actually hiding a much deeper, more human meaning? To figure that out, we have to get clear on the difference between a fact and a truth. Oscar Wilde had this brilliant way of putting it. Facts are the what, right? They're the data, the things you can point to and observe. But truth is the why. It's the deeper, ethical meaning humming away behind all those facts. And our whole explainer today is about making that leap from just knowing the facts to actually understanding the truth. So, our first stop is a big one, economics. For most of us, when we hear that word, we think of charts, graphs, supply and demand, all that complex stuff. But was it always like that? Was it always just about the numbers? Come on, let's peel back the layers and see what this concept originally meant.
Okay, so this right here is the definition you'll find in pretty much any modern textbook. And it was largely shaped by the economist Lionel Robbins. It's very clean, it's technical, and it basically frames economics as a giant engineering problem. We've got limited stuff, people want unlimited stuff, so just solve for X. It's a science of pure optimization.
But wait a second. Look closely at what's missing here. Where are the people in this equation? Where is happiness or fulfillment or a sense of purpose? This definition just boils down the incredibly complex art of human flourishing into a cold, impersonal calculation. And that makes you wonder, right? What if we're solving the wrong problem altogether?
And here's the thing, it wasn't always this way. Not at all. If we trace it back to its roots, the Arabic word for economics, iktisad, actually comes from the root kasit, which means intention or purpose. It implies ittidal, which means balance and moderation. All of a sudden, it sounds less like a math problem and way more like Aristotle's golden mean, the idea that a good life, a virtuous life, is all about finding that perfect balance. The original truth of economics wasn't about resources, it was about how to live well.
All right, now for our next section, let's see how this idea builds. We're going to stick with an economic concept for a minute, but we're going to use it to uncover something really profound, a kind of mathematical constant that doesn't govern markets, but our very existence.
Don't let the jargon fool you. This is way simpler than it sounds. Demand elasticity just measures how much you want something when its price changes. So, if the price of a fancy sports car doubles, demand is going to plummet, right? That's elastic. But what happens when something is so fundamental, so important, that its demand doesn't change one bit, no matter what the price tag says?
That's when the elasticity is exactly zero. It means demand is fixed. It is completely, utterly non-negotiable. Price becomes totally irrelevant. Now, what in human life, and I mean really think about this for a second, what could possibly fit that description? And this brings us to the three great inelastic moments of life: the cradle for our birth, the wedding dress for our union, and the shroud for our death. No one haggles over the price of a shroud. These things exist completely outside of market logic. They are the moments where all our economic ambitions just fade away, where being meets nothingness, and the only price that matters is life itself.
So if those are the unchanging truths for a single individual life, what about the life of an entire society? How do we measure its health? To do that, we need the right tools, the right concepts, and crucially, we have to be sure we aren't just borrowing keys that were made for somebody else's locks.
Here is a genuinely chilling thought. The sociologist Emil Durkheim had a word for it, anomie, a state of normlessness where everything gets turned upside down. What's a modern sign of this? Well, just imagine a university, a place that's supposed to be all about seeking truth, creating something like a disinformation club. When we start building official institutions for the very things that poison us, like falsehood, it's a terrifying symptom that the society's immune system is failing.
And see, this is the real danger. If we only use imported frameworks to understand ourselves, we risk a kind of social schizophrenia. We're trying to cram our reality into boxes that were built for someone else. Now, don't get me wrong. Concepts like Marx's class consciousness are powerful tools for sure. But what about our own indigenous concepts, like asabiyet, that incredible idea of social cohesion, or the deep cultural need for self-knowledge? If we don't develop our own conceptual tools, we can never, ever see ourselves clearly.
So for our final section, we are going to see this entire journey from surface-level facts to deep internalized truth, all embodied in the life of one incredible person. This is the story of what it really means to go from simply knowing things to achieving true wisdom.
This is the life of Imam al-Ghazali, one of the most influential thinkers in all of history. And honestly, he had it all. Fame, fortune, the most prestigious academic job in the world. He was an absolute master of the facts. But deep inside, he felt completely empty. This crisis pushed him to abandon everything, for a decade, just to find a truth that couldn't be memorized from a book, but had to be lived.
There's this one story that captures his transformation perfectly. He's on a journey, and bandits attack his caravan. They steal everything, including his precious notebooks, full of all his learning. When Ghazali begs to have them back, the bandit chief just laughs in his face and says, "What pathetic knowledge that I can just steal it from you." And right there, in that moment, Ghazali has this massive revelation. His knowledge was just ink on a page. It was in the satr, the lines of the book. But it wasn't yet in his sadr, his heart. It wasn't truly his.
So when he finally returned after 10 years, he wasn't there to reclaim his fame or his fancy title. He came back with his simple, unbelievable mission statement: "I have returned to correct the mistakes I once taught." He finally understood that the whole point of learning isn't to build up your ego, but to get closer to the truth. And that journey, from fact to truth, is what this has all been about.
So we'll end by turning the question back to you. The concepts you use to make sense of things, they aren't neutral. They shape everything you see. Are they just memorized facts like Ghazali's stolen notes? Or are they true, internalized wisdom that helps you navigate your life with balance, with purpose, and with virtue? What shadows are you watching on the wall, and what truths are just waiting for you to discover?